Sounds like a good. I will watch this. I know this is the kind of thing my wife would watch. Because I'm just going to bust on Nathan Black right now because he's been on the show. He likes dramas. I don't like dramas. I prefer genre. I prefer smile to genre. I don't even believe in comedy as a genre. I believe in comedy as an element to good story. And we can like start the next part there.
I don't understand what you mean by you don't...
I don't like dramas. I like genres. Like
what
genre
is
movies.
Genre? Genre is...
Well, let's start part 2 with that.
Genre encompasses comedy, drama. Yeah, so
I agree those are genres people identify.
Well, you can have a thriller that has drama in it, which is kind of what...
Yeah.
There's a lot of drama in other genres, right?
Is Smile a genre? And yeah, you're hearing a play right now, but I'm still going to ask this question. Is Smile a drama? Like, if you took out the thriller, horror, and like, you could start arguing what's the difference between thriller and horror? And I love, getting into the nitty gritty of these things.
Well, I mean, I would say Smile is definitely horror. Horror encompasses
It's not a thriller?
More.
No, it's horror.
Does it involve elements of drama?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of drama.
Well,
anything.
You need drama to sustain a story.
So then, how is drama its own individual category?
No, I'm saying the word genre covers drama, comedy, horror. So I don't know what would you classify a genre film as? What is a genre film?
I think within the industry of movies and classifying movies, when someone says this is a genre piece, it's a thriller horror. It's a sci-fi. It's a period piece even, is a form of genre. Whereas just saying drama and comedy to me are the two masks, from that, like, what was that, the Shakespearean days? We've got those masks, and one was comedy and one is drama, in the sense that these two masks are constantly being taken off and put on, switching between something comedic and something dramatic. But then when we get into genres, well, is it a mystery? Is it a sci-fi?
Well, no, because there's dramas that are just dramas and nothing else, right?
Yes, like This Is Us is a drama. That's a TV show that I watched. It's just a drama. What would you be your example of like the quintessential drama? I thought of another one, but...
Magnolia?
Terms of Endearment was what I was thinking. Magnolia is Paul Thomas. I get him and the Resident Evil guy confused all the time. Paul Thomas.
Really too bad because one's way better than the other.
Oh, yeah. Paul W.S. Anderson is way... the star of Resident Evil's husband is way better director than the guy who made...
the other way around.
The other way around.
Licorice Pizza.
Licorice Pizza was good. I did like Licorice
I did not
Pizza.
like that, but when I heard it,
and like, there's an obvious reason why. I love There Will Be Blood. So that your example of a drama, I feel like Magnolia is a very hard drama to recommend to a normie, in the sense that you're both immersed in film. But when I think of a normie, I think of my mom, I think of my sister, somebody who's not like, they don't care about the art. They care about if they're entertained.
I feel like Magnolia could sustain.
Well, what about like Titanic? Is that like a normie drama film?
Is Titanic genre, or is it a drama? Is it the genre of drama, or is it a period piece masquerading as a horror film?
I think it's a period piece, love story, drama.
I think it's a romantic disaster movie.
Oh, God, don't even get going on that.
Wait. Explain why you guys disagree and what you're disagreeing.
Because Titanic is a beautiful film and he hates it.
Wow.
You
He
hate
hates Titanic.
Yeah,
You're the iceberg
I think
here?
it's a bad movie.
In what objective senses is the movie Titanic bad? I bought it for $4 on Blu-ray at Walmart once. How dare you, sir?
Well, it goes on for so long with
3 hours
with a romance that's relatively cliche.
In what sense?
Like you got the one guy who's like a pauper on the wrong side of the tracks, and then you have this like
you said pauper, dude.
Elite woman who's seeking a break from the bougie company that she's forced to take, and we've seen that kind of romance 1,000 times before.
Well, technically, isn't Titanic like the originator that it kind of started that whole thing?
Oh no, there are definitely
no.
Well, what's the one where the prince and the pauper? As soon as you said pauper, I thought of the one where they switch, where it goes back hundreds of years.
That's not a romance.
No, but you're bringing that element of class into a rom-com. Rom-coms often don't deal with class in the modern iterations.
Yeah, but I mean, you could go back to I guess Jane Austen literature has that, like, I want to date or I want to be with somebody who's not deemed high enough class, like that kind of drama and romance has been around forever. And so it's just a very stereotypical love story that drags on for so long, melodramatic.
Oh, why did we bring up Titanic?
Well, I'm wondering what romance dramas you do like. What's a drama that's a romance?
I brought up
He hates
Titanic.
romance. He doesn't believe in it. And
well, someday some girl's gonna find him attractive because he thinks he's a David Lynchian artsy fartsy director writer, and he's the best at directing his own written words. Did you like The First Smile, Alex?
Okay, well, you're mischaracterizing a lot of
We're pivoting way too big.
We are just going from one
you
thing to the other.
mischaracterize a lot of things.
Which parts? Smile?
I
You
take
didn't like it?
ownership of my style, but I don't suggest that everybody needs to recognize it as the best. So that's where the humility comes in. Is
Good.
If you say my movie is trash, I say totally fair opinion.
I haven't said your movie's trash.
I know you haven't, but
I'm
saying
trying to
if you
understand
did-
if you did or did not like the movie Smile while appropriately characterizing you for the
No,
audience.
that was not an appropriate characterization because
Which
it made
part
it
was inappropriate?
because it made it sound like I was saying I was like best and everyone has to deem my movies the best.
No,
if
only
you hate
the
my
young woman who
movie,
falls in love with you in a romance that I think okay, Jennifer and I are both married with kids.
Yeah.
So I can enjoy a romance drama in a different way than you can.
no, I
as
enjoy
a young blood.
I enjoy millions of romances. Some of my favorite
You
movies
enjoy
of all time.
millions of romances, I guess, as a product of evolution. You sure do.
Mulholland Drive is one of my favorite
God damn it,
romances.
that's
That is
not
not a romance.
For fuck's
See,
sake.
that's
Of course it
his
is.
idea of a
I know.
romance.
How is that
So
not a romance?
you can see
Wait.
now why he didn't like Titanic.
What is Smile to you, Alex?
Smile is a horror.
Smile is a horror. What? You want to talk about Titanic more, Kirk?
There's a flow of things, so let's just
Okay, he's
ride the flow. Go on.
You want to ride the flow. I'm never going to let you forget that you said, let's ride the
Let's
flow.
ride the flow. Yeah,
Okay,
go on.
Alex, you're in charge for the
Yeah,
next.
I mean, there's romances that are very nuanced and actually deal with like real human experiences and emotions that just aren't like these extremes of
Who
like.
are the
oh,
romantic partners in Mulholland Drive? Because
Yeah, how is that romance?
How is it not?
It's the two
It's
women,
one-
right?
Yeah, it's one of the
Okay.
most beautiful
What's a
romances. in cinema.
That's a
stereotypical
beautiful
hetero romantic comedy or romantic drama of the past 25 years that you have since 1999? Or, let's go back to 1995. You were born in 96, 95?
96.
Damn it. I always get that wrong. So anything after 1996, which Titanic qualifies as.
I mean, Before Midnight, the whole Before trilogy, I think is fantastic.
Hell yeah. My parents found them a little meandering, but,
I think
they're
they're
in their
brilliant.
70s.
I mean, I think they're pretty realistic for what relationships go through.
See that?
Yeah.
Yes,
I
that's
think
the
everyone
thing.
becomes an author and then randomly runs into the woman they had a magical night with in Germany in a different European country. What is your opinion about the Before trilogy, Jennifer?
No, I want to hear her opinion on Titanic. so
Oh,
we
well, I
stay
know
on
she
topic,
likes
yes.
Titanic.
Yeah, but what about Titanic do you think was, a lot more different than
I
Alex's take?
love tragic love stories
Oh,
Why?
because they're just so much more interesting and exciting.
It's not tragic.
Other examples.
How is it not
No,
tragic?
let's
yeah,
let's
her
stick
lover
let's stick
died
with other
in the
examples.
sea.
Like he dies.
Yeah.
And she's
How
in
is
love
that-
with him. He
my
could have
God.
fit on the board. It's fine.
Yeah, but the whole idea of like
No, they proved that
I have
he could
seen the
not.
documentary from
Okay.
Jim. Big Jim.
no.
And so
Big Jim wouldn't get it
That's
wrong.
not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the whole concept of her heart will go on. She's like, haha, screw this dude. I've moved on. My
no,
heart
she
went
never
on.
she
Yeah, I don't
never
think she
moved
never
on.
moved
She
on.
she
She
always
did.
loved him.
No.
Yes, always. Even after she was married and had children and everything, her heart still stayed with Jack.
No.
She loved Jack.
No, it's because her.
I agree with you, Jennifer. Alex, go ahead with your nonsense.
No, it's not nonsense.
No, prove that it's not nonsense.
Okay,
State
so-
it in a way people will believe.
So here's the dynamic that is unspoken in that movie.
Uh-huh.
So you have generally women, but sometimes men, in long-term relationships or in marriages who the marriage runs stale. And they begin to think about and remember their most passionate romance that didn't last long enough to go stale. It ended sort of perfect. That was the perfect romance for them. But that romance was rooted in like a moment in time of spontaneity and passion, whereas the long-term prospect is rooted in compromise and dealing with the arguments that come with being in a long-term relationship. So they're reflecting on something that actually, had it persisted, would have resulted in the same thing of rendering it meaningless. It's because it ends that she thinks back like, oh, that was so great, because her other relationships have run stale and there's no passion anymore.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
You
Can
blame
I-
the woman?
Yeah.
Can I? Okay. So
I didn't blame the woman.
You didn't. I'm sorry.
sometimes in life, you find that person, that soulmate.
We're married. Of course, I agree with that.
Even. Okay, I'm speaking hypothetically. This is not about me. This is not whatever. But I'm just
All right.
saying. Sometimes you might
I meant that about you, honey.
find.
I mean,
Not you, Jennifer.
you-
I'm speaking to my wife right
Do
now.
you want to? Do
would've
you
been more
want me to
believable
tell
if
Mrs. Farx to listen in this one specifically?
Yes, I do. Yeah. Part 2. Sorry. Continue,
putting
Jennifer. We
putting
don't
the
need to throw you off.
clarifier on "it's not about you" makes it seem about you now.
No. But
Nobody
sometimes
would-
you find that one romance you were saying, Jennifer. I want to hear about that
See,
romance.
now I don't even want to say anything because of what he just
No.
said.
Alex
He
is.
just-
No one's on Alex's side in this one. so far.
It's just
I
Kirk is a hopeless romantic.
I am a hopeless romantic.
okay.
I could see
so
that.
here's the thing. Sometimes you might find that person who is just I don't know, just your everything. You just your soulmate. You just feel it. You just know it, right? But you don't end up with that person long term. For whatever reason, the person dies, or you just can't make it work, or there's just whatever is going on. You might move on, and you might, find somebody that you end up with, and you're happy with, and you're together a long time or whatever. But you still may never forget that other person, especially if it's tragic. Like you tragically separate. I'm not saying like in Titanic through death, but maybe by other means.
Romeo and Juliet kill themselves.
wait. So how is this disagreeing with anything I've said?
the point of talking
Anyways,
through disagreements.
that may be.
But I'm not understanding what she's disagreeing
That
with. She's just restating what I just said
No, I don't.
in a more sensitive manner. She's saying there's relationships in the past or romances in the past that you always remember, even if you end up with somebody who you
Or maybe
like enough
maybe
to
you
stick
don't end up with anybody at all. Maybe you're single for the rest of your life and you've dated a lot of different people, but there's that one person that just stole your heart,
I
right?
didn't get that much out of Titanic. It is a horror movie. People die horrifically for the last hour and a half.
They die hilariously when he hits the propeller. It was hilarious.
If I was in the right mood. I'm glad we talked about the movie Titanic. It's obviously Titanic influence on movies that came out after it, possibly even including Smile.
All right. Yeah.
No, you don't think so?
This
No,
podcast is really taking a turn.
No, I'm glad
Yeah.
that we talked about Titanic, and Kirk's going to include all of that in the podcast. And thank you for listening. If you come
The
to listen
propeller
to
death made me smile. So speaking about smiling,
Speaking of smiling, let's
pivot
dive
off of
into Smile
Did you-
2.
Smile 1 or 2? Which one, Alex?
2.
You say 2 over 1?
Yeah.
Jennifer, 2 over 1 or 1 over 2?
2 up until the end.
Uh-oh.
And the end disappointed me. So, the ending of a film is so important that when it's bad, it just like ruins the whole film for me.
Yeah, it's how you
So-
walk out.
I mean, it's what you remember, right? The end of everything is so important.
Sorry, we are going to try to go for about 10 more minutes before we spoil, just to the audience. We're not going to say, but where we are is 1 over 2. You're not going to call it.
No,
Kirk,
2 over 1.
you're 2. Alex is 2 over 1. Jennifer really liked 2, but was the ending didn't do it for you. And Kirk, where are you at?
I liked 1 more than 2.
I was with Kirk when we saw 1, and he and another filmmaker, John Dittman. I hope he enjoys this episode. Were upset because people were talking back to the screen throughout
The first one.
that Smile 1. I particularly enjoy that experience. So I really, really like Smile 1 just for the experience of the AMC Southdale audience talking back at the screen. There was some talking back at the screen in Smile 2, but not as much as 1. Would you agree, Kirk?
I would agree. There definitely wasn't a snore during Smile 2.
I fell asleep between the. I didn't miss anything because I know
You
what
didn't
happened.
miss anything, yeah.
But anyways, I also went
It's
to
a
the back.
strange movie to fall asleep to. I mean, it
I
was
wasn't
pretty
gonna
action
call out
packed.
my
I know.
brother.
No. I'm just being. We've got enough opinions on this podcast. It's fine. I fell asleep for part of it because it was at past midnight. I turned into a pumpkin and I fell asleep. I still liked the movie. I just wish there had been more people yelling at the screen, which is not relevant to which is better, 1 or 2.
Which may have kept you up.
If I had had some more participation from the audience. Okay, so we have a delineation. You're kind of on the fence, Jennifer. You're the arbiter of this. Alex is 2/1 and Kirk is 1/2. So before we spoil anything, we should start with the guest, right? The guests will make arguments for why 2 is better than 1.
Yeah,
although
well,
Jennifer can make arguments going either way because she can be a self-baiter if she chooses to be.
Yeah, I'll
And-
just kind of jump in here and there.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll have Alex go first with 2.
I don't think 2 was like way superior to 1. I think they're both awesome, but 2 was better because it expanded the logic of the whole concept and brought it, directed it into new and different ways. And also, I think it was more consistently scary, and the set pieces were more creative than in the first one. The ending was great. Escalated it to
We're not talking about the ending.
top tier
I hear you.
status.
Because I did see the ending. I'm not confused about what happened in this movie, just so that the audience knows I know what happened. Jennifer, any color to that?
We went and saw it together,
Ooh.
and we were watching it through the whole thing. And I know I jumped. I hit him a couple times. 'cause
You're
I
a
was, like,
jumper?
scared. Yeah, I did jump. There were some good jump
You
scares.
jump at jump scares?
Yeah, I did.
I giggle.
Well, maybe once.
Okay. You jumped once?
Did I jump once or
No,
twice?
you jumped like 6 times.
My brother-in-law
Wow,
jumped
that
a
many
You
lot.
times?
actually like grabbed onto me at the end. And you were like watching through splayed fingers.
Okay, so yeah, it was scary. Like
So it's pretty good.
I really enjoyed most of it. Like I said, until the end. So and then at the end, I looked at him because I thought he was going to agree with me and I said, "Wow, I hate when there's endings like this. The ending just sucked." And he's like, "What are you talking about? I loved it. That was the best ending ever." So
Can I give something away? I'm a little more on Alex's side for the ending piece, but we got to go to Kirk on why 1 is better than 2 and why Alex is wrong.
I think, without spoiling, but 1, I think Smile as a whole works better on a smaller scale. It does, because you have, like in any horror movie, you have this one thing going after a group of people. It's not more than 5 people. It's not more than 1 person. Like in Halloween, it's after
Michael Myers is killing one or two people at a time.
Yeah, but sure, he kills a lot of people, sure. But he's really only after 1 person. In Smile 2, it might have gone a little too wide. It might have tried to involve way too much, I think, in 2.
I agree with you.
Here's why I'm going to push back is that in 1, they talk about the chain of 20 people that have gone through the Smile experience. I don't think it's really spoiler. We could even say it's a content warning. You go, you have to kill yourself in front of somebody to spread the Smile disease to the next person who then has to kill themselves in front of somebody.
Technically, they don't kill themselves. The entity forces them to kill themselves. Or the entity does it for them. It's not free will.
It's not free will. You draw an explicit distinction between
Because
free
that's the
will and a
rule of the
supernatural.
monster. The
Okay.
monster forces you to kill yourself in front of somebody, giving them that trauma. That way, the monster could transfer over to the next person.
Do you guys disagree with that being the rule of the quote-unquote monster in Smile?
I think that that pretty well
No,
explains it. Yeah.
I don't. I disagree with his assessment that it works on a smaller scale. But
Yeah.
But-
I disagree with that too.
But yeah, as far as his characterization of the actual
I agree
concept,
with you,
yeah.
Kirk.
Thank you.
Kevin Bacon's daughter versus lady from Aladdin, the one from guy who made Lock, Stock. Because the lady in Smile 2, she was
Jasmine in Aladdin.
yes.
She sings a
She
great
has a
song called
name. Her
Speechless
name
in
is
Aladdin.
Naomi
that
Scott.
one made me cry.
It was a bad movie, but the song was good.
You like Speechless, the original song for that live action remake of
Yeah, Yeah, I do.
Damn it, I wish we didn't agree on this. So Kevin Bacon's daughter or Jasmine? Kirk?
How do you want me to rate them?
Because one is in Smile 1 and one is in Smile 2. You have to say Kevin Bacon's daughter because you're arguing for one.
I think Naomi Scott had a lot more. She had a lot more to do. She was trying to fight against entity.
So is Little Bacon. I really wish I remembered her name. So you're gonna say two over one for actress.
Look, I could enjoy the acting in 2. The acting in 2, I think, was a lot better. I feel like Smile 2 was a lot of close-ups, right? There was way too many close-ups in Smile 2. I think it's just close-ups and loud noises.
I think we got to ask the actress how she feels about this now. You're the wait. Do you identify as an actor or an actress, or do you care?
I don't care.
Okay, cool. So since you are an actress and we're comparing Little Bacon to Naomi Scott, who would you go with in a raw talent? They'll hear this and judge you.
I think they both did a really good job with what they were given, right? So, I mean, I feel like both parts were quite a bit different in the material and the way they were shot, and I think they both did a good job with the script and with what they had. So I think I don't know if you can quite compare.
No, they have to fight. It's a fight. It's a bait where one of them wins and one of them loses.
Okay, I'm going to agree with Kirk and just say that Naomi had a lot more to do. She had, it was a little bit more of a difficult role. So, and she did great.
I agree with you. I'm looking for disagreement. Alex, are you Naomi over Little Bacon, or are you Little Bacon over Naomi?
Well, I
know you're 2 over 1. Can you go against yourself?
No. I'm Naomi over Bacon, but I want to disagree with something he said.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I think that actually her role was more difficult and more impressive as a result of the extreme close-ups. Because this is a tactic that I employ in a lot of my stuff.
He loves extreme close-ups.
Yeah, is if you just put the camera in the face of an actor, it forces them almost to do a good job because there's nothing else for the audience to look at. So they need to bring a greater emotion. And so if they can't do that, the performance sinks entirely. If they can, the performance floats tremendously. And so because Naomi Scott is in just about every scene, maybe besides the opening, and she's like on camera for probably like 85% of the movie, it puts that spotlight on her in a way that I don't think the First Lady had.
I'll draw an objective distinction between them. Naomi Scott has the benefit of her character having gone through a tragic event that she is responsible for, so she had more to bring forward, whereas
I'm going to argue against that.
Yeah.
No, because
she didn't force him to drive.
Responsibility.
Yeah.
They were both doing drugs, and she's hitting him while they're driving.
He still chose to drive. It's not her
She got in the
responsibility.
car. Okay, to my daughters who may listen to this someday, if you get in the car with somebody you know is drunk, you have made a decision and you are somewhat culpable for that decision, which is different than seeing your mom kill herself. Smile one.
It's not the same thing though. But she was also under the use of influence.
Drugs. No. If you do drugs and then you make bad decisions,
no, because you're not remembering correctly either.
Excuse me?
In the first one, she could have called 911, but didn't.
When her mom was choking when she was a child?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a difference between a child being in a situation that they can't because they have shitty parenting, whereas I can't remember Naomi Scott's character. Like, she was living the high life, doing drugs with her boyfriend, getting in stupid fights.
I'm not disagreeing that she shares some responsibility.
But she has a higher responsibility than the child who sees her mother die, for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess we're kind of spoiling things, but it's brought up in the first part of the story that something has happened and she's injured. And she's responsible.
If I were a kid and my mom told me, call 911 or whatever, and I just stood there and let her die, I don't think I would do that. I think I would call 911 regardless.
Sure, but a child might freeze for a variety of reasons that you can't place on a minor, whereas somebody who is an adult who does drugs, I'm sorry, that's a different thing.
Okay, but she obviously was conscious enough to still feel guilt about it in her adult life.
There's a theme that runs clearly through Smile 1 and 2.
Right.
Well, the guilt, the trauma from guilt. Jennifer, you were letting us cook here, and we got hot.
No, you go. I'm enjoying this.
Oh, good. But do you have an opinion? I'll be honest. I only take your opinion more seriously than these two jokers because you have a kid. So like you might approach it from the same position that
I might have
do.
a kid.
It's
unclear.
Yeah,
That's
I
not-
mean, it was
come on,
mentioned in
Alex.
Force PTO. Yeah.
Yeah, see, he watches the show.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Alex is doing a lot of personal sharing on the show.
Fictionally though,
Yeah.
isn't that it's not that's a real thing that you might.
No, I thought that was just
child?
part of the joke, right?
Yeah, it's
In
part of the
TV
joke,
in
but
the
you're-
show. Yeah.
But I'm specifically pivoting and asking Jennifer because as a fellow parent, I thought she might have an angle on my, no, I wouldn't blame a child, whereas I would blame a slightly older person, like someone over the age of 18 is an adult, even though your brain isn't fully formed until you're 26. It's unclear if the character, when they experience their traumatic event in Smile 2, Naomi Scott, she's over 18. I don't know if she's over 26.
Yeah,
Do you
of, course,
find
of
more-
course she's more to blame. Absolutely. I mean,
Okay,
that's,
more culpability. Okay, cool.
yeah.
It's a fun debate. So, can we go on the spoilers? What's the first spoiler you guys want to talk about from the movie Smile 2?
I guess the ending.
You just want to start at I like starting at the ending. I like that she killed all those people. Or
Well,
she
I mean,
damned all those people.
I guess my question to her would be, what was her problem? with
Yeah,
that?
what didn't you like about it, Jennifer? I'm super curious. Did you write it down?
I wrote it down.
Oh, fuck yeah!
Because-
Read it. Perform it. Do you want it to be set up? Do you want to?
This is no. So
good.
I was just thinking about this today, and I'm like, why does this ending bother me so much, right? And because here it is, Skye is in an abandoned Pizza Hut, right? She's waiting for this procedure that's going to happen, which is going to stop her heart, bring her back to life in order to free her from this evil entity. Okay, which I thought was kind of clever. I'm like, okay, where are we going to go with this? Then all of a sudden, she's on stage in front of thousands of fans when the entity appears, causing her to bash her brains in front of the audience. Wow, really? It went from that to that. And I don't know, I just was like expecting it, which sometimes is okay, but that was not in a good way. And it was just like, boom, I just felt like I lost a few IQ points after that.
Yeah, I agree with Jennifer because most of this film does not happen at all. The entity is possessing Naomi Scott for the entirety of this movie. Nothing happens. And at the very end, suddenly, the entity is going to show up and just murder herself on stage to traumatize everybody. Given the rule of the monster, what's the point of having all these people be traumatized? Well, what's the point of that?
It's about how mass media has given the ability to people to inflict damage on the world.
But why do we have to make a statement like that? It's a fucking horror film.
It's a horror film.
Keep it
I don't
a
think it's
horror
that
film.
deep.
It's like you got to make that statement.
I wholly disagree on they can't be deep. I got to grab something. Oh,
No, I didn't say it can't be deep. I said it doesn't have to be that deep. It's a horror. I mean, even the first one, it wasn't that deep. That's why I think it's not that deep.
This is where I disagreed with you on why the smaller scale doesn't work, is because the allegory is about mental illness as a response to trauma, which is exceptionally widespread. So on a small scale, it's like, oh, it's just being transported from one person to the next in increments. Whereas in this, it's like, it's going to everybody. Now everybody's messed up, which is more indicative of what we're living through right now, where we have millions of people messed up with mental illness and trauma.
Yeah, but going back to the rule of the entity, it doesn't necessarily feed. It's not so hungry that it's gotta infect all these people. What's the point of? I mean, it could friggin' infect a person on YouTube and infect more people that way, can it? Like.
well, yeah, but that's
can
not
use
as cinematically interesting as a pop star and a.
Yeah, but
it wasn't cinematically
Yeah, I don't think
interesting.
it was because there are no stakes. Technically, nothing happens in this movie.
I disagree because the things that the character.
I don't think it works through video just to respond to the
Yeah,
YouTube thing.
it
that
might
if
not
you-
work through
okay, yeah,
video. It has to be in person or something. But
Yeah, you have to witness somebody
you have
killing
to
themselves.
witness it. To put it plainly, it's such a convoluted plot for the entity to literally slide into her DMs, pretend to be Morris so that she fights against it, give her more trauma, make her think she killed her own mother, and then we get to the stage. It's just too much going on.
It was almost like the writer at the very end, like he's writing this interesting story, and then all of a sudden he goes, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to just end it like this and do this.
And is it that specific transition from the abandoned Pizza Hut to the concert that is your point of contention, Jennifer? Maybe it was a producer, according to Alex.
Producer stepped in.
I have an argument against what you and Kirk are saying, which is that I believe we are seeing someone's mental illness from the perspective of the person with the mental illness, and that I understand certain types of mental illness to present themselves, specifically in people who commit suicide. Like the most common, like for kids under 4, the most likely way to die is by drowning, and then up until they're out of high school, it's being shot in the United States. And then our age, it's suicide. Actually, something's wrong, mental illness, right? And you see the world one way when it is actually another way. And being snapped between the two realities was the intention of what I took away from both Smile 1 and 2.
100%.
I see this young man nodding with me. Yeah. And I know we disagree on so many things, but we agree wholeheartedly on this.
Well, it's nice to see you agree on something.
Lots of things. We both know who we're voting for in November. I'm just kidding. I'm so sorry. We're not voting.
I'm just saying there isn't a lot of stakes and there isn't a lot of point to this movie. The monster's power is so great that I don't understand why it has to work so hard to get to this point.
When you watch Hereditary, do you think the monster worked too hard?
No, Hereditary, it was not an entire hallucination. Smile 2, there was way too much hallucination. Morris wasn't real. Can we agree that Morris wasn't real? There was no person who reached out to her and said, hey, I have a way to fight this entity. It's the entity being Morris contacting her.
I thought it was that the entity it beat Morris. And that, do you guys not think Morris, the shorter Jewish man who reaches out toward the end in the bar? I'm just describing him. He's been in other movies.
He's a fantastic actor, by the way.
Like him.
Oh my God, he's great.
Am I wrong about my description to the police that you are?
I think he was real.
Stand so.
He wasn't real in the texting to get her to the Pizza Hut. He was real in the initial confrontation because they go and show a flashback of the dude's brother or whatever
pulling
killing
his jaw
himself.
off. Yeah,
they wouldn't show that unless it.
They introduce the fact that Gemma didn't even contact her to begin with. So it's like, at what point do we
wait? So the friend in 2 is her name Gemma?
Yeah, her name is Gemma. She never actually contacted her because she leaves her during the drive to Morris.
Yeah, she never went to her apartment or anything.
So that never happened either.
Jenna, how do we know Jenna never showed up? I'm confused about that.
Because she shows up at the end and mentions it. She's like, I'm sorry it took me so long to respond to your phone call, remember?
Oh, so it's presenting itself as the entity, like how the entity shows up as the therapist. So the entity is
faking texts and messages. So...
But again, that goes to the mental illness point of like, you're hallucinating something and it's telling you something about how you're perceiving the world as the person experiencing the mental illness. Now, we're all ill to different degrees, obviously, but trying to universally depict a very specific person's mental illness, I think would have to be done in the way that you've described, which is one think it's this, but then it's this. Oh no, I'm not in an abandoned Pizza Hut. I'm on stage about to kill myself.
But technically, I would argue they do not pinpoint a mental illness enough to give us enough evidence of what it could be. Like, she's not depressed. She's guilty, sure, but that's not like a mental illness that people have. In the context of the film, what kind of mental illness would she have?
She's dealing with
PTSD?
Well, that plus other things, because she professes to be an addict, and it then gets into the calculus of like different mental illnesses interacting with one another, and the prominence of these things being able to interact with each other because of information flowing more quickly to broader sets of people.
Well, plus the anxiety and pressure of other people on her as the performer, right? That anxiety she feels to perform in front of all these people. And
obviously I'm not a doctor, but I don't think there's so much anxiety that you would hallucinate an entire 3 days of you going through this whole thing, and then suddenly
this is going to sound really dumb to you.
Yeah,
but I watched the Taylor Swift documentary from 2020 when she was trying to get Marsha Blackburn taken out as a senator in Tennessee. Do you guys know what documentary I'm talking about? I can't remember what it's called. It's on Netflix. But she talks in there about having that thing where like women don't think they're skinny enough, and like she really believed it.
Anorexia?
Yeah, sorry.
That thing?
Is anorexia mental like health? Is is that a mental, what am I supposed to call it? I know I call it anorexia. She talks about her anorexia, and it's like, well, that must have sucked for Taylor Swift to be like, and then like they show her very skinny at certain times when I'm
but
sure
it's
in the
mental
film
and
they
physical.
don't do that though. They don't.
well, they
enough-
depict it in like the body, like the performers that show up, like that guy with when he takes his dick out and runs at her, he wasn't there obviously, and I knew he wasn't there, but it was a representation of her anxieties.
When he takes his dick out, did I miss that?
No, they were the
When was
guy
that?
who like
Fan who has like the eczema who comes up to her.
who wants to wear her skin?
And then he shows up later at her apartment naked with his clothes on the ground.
he's not there though.
But she doesn't have body dysmorphia or that level of anorexia or, you know,
I
that
was
level
using
of,
it as an example of someone
but-
who is like her, who I like. She's a billionaire, but I felt bad because she thought she wasn't skinny enough when clearly she was, and you know,
I'm
she
just
was
saying,
doing.
I think
it was
they
in a
should've-
political documentary,
she had a drug addiction, sure.
and then you
but
knew
it-
she'd gone through a traumatic event that had manifested itself in a
but
scar on her body she was ashamed
it
of.
wasn't like a hallucinogenic drug that she was saying, like mushrooms.
Hallucinogenic. Sorry. Yes.
Drug that she was saying, that she was saying things. I think if they made that more clear and she couldn't really see between what was real and what wasn't, I think that would have worked better. But to have the whole half of the movie not actually happen, that's my main issue of the movie. Most of this movie doesn't take place. Movie Baiters for the Farx Brothers continues Friday morning.